Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, That Darn Kitty.
Dorkus and I are both going into the story completely new with almost no knowledge of the story or world. Each segment will cover what happens in each new chapter while discussing our experience along the way.
This is the Hero of Ages. It's all in the pages, a blind read-through. And today we are covering Chapter 12 and 13.
Chapter 12 and 13!
A blind for 13.
Woohoo!
Well, I'm glad Vin has this conversation with Elend.
Yes, but I think Elend will move this to the back of his mind.
Did you not feel like the very end of this chapter was Elend addressing specifically what Vin and Elend talked about?
That's true. Yeah, it was. That is, yeah.
Because as I was going through it, yes, in that first scene, it's very much as if he's just gonna forget about it. Like, he's not taking it seriously. I don't like Elend in this first scene.
Yeah.
But then at the end, when he's talking about everyone smiling, I'm like, oh, this is him taking what Vin said to heart.
Yeah. I guess I was thinking about with Sazed. I think he might think, okay, now I've kind of given Sazed enough to do, and he'll just keep on going, and Sazed will be affected by his speech. I don't think that will be enough for Sazed.
Yeah, no, and I can totally see Elend thinking that he did enough, because I don't think he actually believes Vin. I think he put in that little bit of effort because it's important to Vin, but I don't think he meaningfully realizes just how depressed Sazed is. Yeah.
I think he addressed how the crew is, because that is also what part of what Vin wanted to tell him about. He's like, everybody's giving up. She's like, everyone's giving up. So, and he addressed that, but Sazed is a even worse case. And we worry at the fact that he is not worried, but I guess he doesn't have space to worry. But neither does Vin, but yeah.
Neither does any of them.
Yeah, but yeah, how could you not worry about Sazed?
Yeah. Reshek moved the Well of Ascension, obviously. It was clever of him. Perhaps the cleverest thing he did. He knew that the power would one day return to the well, for power such as this, the fundamental power by which the world was formed, does not simply run out. It can be used and therefore diffused, but it will always be renewed. So knowing that rumors and tales would persist, Reshek changed the very landscape of the world. He put mountains in what became the north and named that location Terrace. Then he flattened his true homeland and built his capital there. He constructed his palace around that room at its heart, the room where he would meditate, the room that was a replica of his old hovel in Terrace, a refuge created during the last moments before his power ran out.
That's confusing, sheesh.
Well, I feel like this is all stuff we already know. Like, this is the first lore drop that I feel like, oh, well, we already figured it out.
We did already figure it out, but it's a confirmation. Whenever these sort of things are described, it's like a full confirmation, and it's described simply enough for us so that we understand. Like, for me, I appreciated the description of the location of Terrace changing and all of that. That's what I mean by that's confusing, is that it's like, imagine being the people. Like, what on earth happened? Like, did everyone just be teleported? And like, that's what I mean by confusing in that.
Yeah,
like how the practicality of that. Yeah, because he moved Terrace essentially. He said, no, this is Terrace over here, but actually they live in Terrace, and now the Terracemen don't even know that.
Right.
So well, the Terrace still called.
Did they know they were in Terrace like 5 minutes after the Lord Ruler did what he did? And then they were just like, oh, why are there mountains there now? Why is this all flat?
Yeah, like
all of my snowshoes are useless now.
Exactly. Like what on earth was that like? Changing in that manner. So yeah, that's what I mean by it's confusing for them, but yeah, we know this. I understand. I'm not as frustrated because that's what I was focused on, like the how of it. Like, what would it be like for the people? This is how immense the power is, that it changes reality and everyone doesn't go, whoa, about it. But I guess what can you do if reality does change and you're like, guys, did you see that happen? Everyone's like, yes, yes. And then we're like, okay, what happened? And then, oh, we get the law from the Lord Ruler and he tells us how everything is. And then we believe it. And da, da, da. So, yeah, so much put into one little paragraph, essentially.
Yeah. But then we get into the chapter, yes?
Mm-hmm. I'm worried about him, Ellen.
Vin said, sitting on their bedroll. I read that and good. Because I remember distinctly saying in the last chapter that they spoke, Vin and Sazed, I was like, you should be worried about him. You should put him, like, someone should always be around him. So I read that and good Vin. Very good Vin. Maybe even best Vin. Who? Elend asked, looking away from the mirror. Sazed? Vin nodded. When Elend awoke from their nap, she was already up, bathed, and dressed. He worried about her sometimes, working herself as hard as she did. He worried more now that he too was Mistborn, and understood the limitations of pewter. The metal strengthened the body, letting one postpone fatigue, but at a price. When the pewter ran out, or was turned off, the fatigue returned, crashing down on you like a collapsing wall. Cool?
It makes sense. Look, yeah, it makes sense. We're still explaining things,
Recap.
but yeah, recap. But it's also Elend himself would think of these things a bit more frequently because he's still new.
Yeah, and this is filtered well enough with Elend's opinion in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yet Vin kept going. Elend was burning pewter too, pushing himself, but she seemed to sleep half as much as he did. She was harder than he was, strong in ways he would never know.
As you were talking about him burning pewter too, I'm like, guys, are we gonna run out of metals? Like, I know we got powders and stuff. It's in small amounts, relatively, but yeah, what's going on in terms of producing metals? How is that happening? How frequently? Yeah,
that is an interesting question. With so much focus on horticulture, yeah, I wonder if they could conceivably run out of allomancer metals, because not all allomancer metals are all metals.
Yeah, and also in terms of fine, in place, they could be, I don't know, refining them. I don't know what the word is, but them on the move. I'm like, how much are they walking around with of these metals? That's another thing. Like, yeah, that's just the thing that I was considering with, we're always burning things and whatever. I'm just like, okay, that has to be a supply line too. I'm sure it is, but I would like a bit of a note.
Although there are the caches, though.
Yeah, that's true.
And that metal doesn't expire.
Yeah.
That we're aware of.
Yeah.
Sazed will face his own problems, Elend said, returning to his dressing. He must have lost people before. I read that, and I thought, that's almost a bit cold, Elend.
Stupid Elend.
Yeah. And
like
the second sentence almost makes up for the first, except for the fact that coldness kind of continues throughout the rest of the chapter.
Yeah. And he must have, I don't know, it's not perceptive when he's saying he must have lost people before.
Yeah.
Like, you should know that this is different because it's Tindwell. Like, just because you've I lost my grandfather or whatever before, that doesn't mean that it would be exactly the same if I lost my husband.
And the thing is, he invokes his father and his brother later, and it's like, so first off, your dad tried to kill you several times. So why would you expect to grieve that if that you haven't already? And then you gave no shit. You had no shits to give that your brother died, that you had a brother, that you had a secret brother, that Vin killed your secret brother, or any
But
of
that's
the
his
other
point.
secret brothers that he had.
I guess that's his point. It's like, well, I got over it, so I don't understand why he can't. Which is like, okay, well, yeah, but they weren't exactly assets in your life, were they? But either way, so yeah, very traumatic. It was Zane was a secret and whatever, but Zane was also trying to kill people all over the place. So again, nothing of value was lost. Okay, but Tindwell, on the other hand, a lot of value.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cope the cope is real.
Yeah.
Which is what you need when the world is ending, I understand.
This is true.
This is different.
Vin said. He could see her in the reflection, sitting cross-legged behind him in her simple clothing. Ellen's stark white uniform was the opposite. It shone with its gold-painted wooden buttons, intentionally crafted with too little metal in them to be affected by allomancy. Too little metal or no metal?
If they're wooden, that's it. I don't think you need metal in buttons.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think any description of the wooden jewelry from the previous books ever suggested having some tiny, minuscule amount. I think it was always specifically that it was wood to avoid metal.
Yeah, and in
But
terms
that's
of
fine.
gold painted, I don't know if that's how
Lead
much
in the
that they're
paint.
talking about. Yeah, like is it like real, like like those bougie people that do that. Oh, this carrot gold and it's edible, like that sort of thing. Uh, yeah, maybe that's what he means, but yeah, you can have gold paint without actual gold in it.
Yeah. The clothing had been made with a special cloth that was easier to scrub clean of ash. Sometimes he felt guilty at all the work it took to make him look regal. Yet it was necessary. Not for his vanity, but for his image. The image for which his men marched to war. In a land of black, Elend wore white and became a symbol. And there I remember the Lord Ruler's black and white outfit from when we first meet him.
Yeah, but he wears white.
Yeah.
The white horses.
The white horses! Different? Elend asked, doing up the buttons on his jacket sleeves. What is different about Tindwell's death? She wasn't the only one to fall during the assault on Luthadel. So did Clubs and Doxon. You killed my own father in it, and I beheaded my best friend shortly before then. We've all lost people. Okay, I was mistaken. He brings up Jostas, not Zane.
Not Zane.
So
yeah, this is I followed suit there with you. I'm like, yeah.
So previous insult retracted. I apologize, Elend, but
Still, nothing of value was lost. Justice was far gone. But yes, that still you mourn the loss of the friend he was.
Yes. And the fact that you can't distinguish between male Clubs and Doxon and female Tindwell?
Come on. But I think it's part of also just wanting there to be a solution, wanting it to be simple. Just be like, no, it's the same. Okay, apply hugs, and you'll be fine.
Here's the other thing. It's because he's doing up the buttons. It is that action of doing up the buttons as he says this. Because I imagine, like, if the line was something like, Elend put down what he was holding and he turned to Vin and looked at her seriously. Different? What's different about Tindwell's death? She wasn't the only one to fall. Then it becomes more of an earnest, I'm trying to understand what's wrong with him kind of a thing. But the action of doing the buttons while you're talking screams of he's not paying attention, screams of he's just not caring at the moment.
Yeah, he's busy, okay? He's got more important things like buttons to do. Yeah, we are at least proven wrong later on, but still.
Yeah.
That was part of the not liking Elend in the beginning. I also was just like, okay, I was like, he's losing touch, essentially. He's going to start losing touch because he does have so much on his mind. Like, I wasn't starting to blame him, but I was like, that doesn't mean I have to like what's going on.
Yeah, I don't want Elend to get a big head.
He said something like that himself. But it's more than just one death to him. I think he sees a kind of betrayal in Tyndall's death. He always was the only one of us who had faith. He lost that when she died, somehow.
It's so sweet.
Betrayal, betrayal on whose part? Just
Religions.
betrayal.
Betrayal.
Belligens.
Religions.
Religion's betrayal.
Huh.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
The only one of us who had faith? Elend asked, plucking a wooden silver-painted pin off his desk and affixing it to his jacket. What about this?
Okay, so he's wearing a symbol.
Yes, of the survivor.
Mm.
But again, it's that whole, it doesn't feel like he's paying attention to the conversation.
He's just getting dressed, yeah.
Yeah.
You belong to the Church of the Survivor, Elend, but you don't have faith, not like Sazed did. It was like he knew everything would turn out all right. He trusted that something was watching over the world.
He'll deal with it.
It's not just him, Elend. Breeze tries too hard.
What does that mean? Elend asked with amusement. It's all in these actions, and I think it's great. Because the dialogue, except for the he'll deal with it line, which is a really shitty thing to say, Elend, screw you. How dare you?
That's just a way of saying everything will be alright, but in a really shitty way.
Yeah.
He'll deal with it. He'll deal with it. It's fine.
One would think that because you killed your father and your best friend and lost Dachshund and clubs, that you would have a touch more empathy.
Yeah. But he's too busy, sorry. Maybe if he slowed down, he would start feeling things. But not really, no time. No time, I've got to get dressed, sorry. But yeah, the he'll deal with it is like, she's just explained quite a complex change in her friend. And the way that she has described it is very impactful, because we're seeing an in-world character noticing these things and saying, okay, he always thought that there was something watching over the world. And it's like, yeah, now he's not even, he's just soulless. This is a big deal. Oh, he'll deal with it. Like, we imagine if that's what our analysis was when we went into like the Sazed's POV, and we're just like, no, he'll deal with it. Like, we know that he's going on a journey, but we feel really shit for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I understand. Elend doesn't have time.
What does that mean? Elend asked with amusement.
He pushes on everyone's emotions. He pushes too hard, trying to make others happy, and he laughs too hard. He's afraid, worried. He shows it by overcompensating.
Elend smiled. You're getting as bad as he is, reading everybody's emotions and telling them how they're feeling.
They're my friends, Elend. I know them. And I'm telling you, they're giving up. One by one, they're beginning to think we can't win this one.
Elend fastened the final button, then looked at himself in the mirror. Sometimes he still wondered if he fit the ornate suit with its crisp whiteness and implied regality. Past the short beard, warrior's body, and scarred skin, he stared into his own eyes, searching for the king behind them. As always, he wasn't completely impressed with what he saw. He carried on anyway, for he was the best they had. Tyndall had taught him that. Very well. I trust that you're right about the others. I'll do something to fix it. After all, that was his job. The title of Emperor carried with it only a single duty, to make everything better. Now, I will say Sanderson sticked that landing with those last several paragraphs. Very cool, Elend. Princely Elend.
The fact that he goes Tyndall, like the last thought before he says this, Tyndall had taught him that. It's just, maybe that also just is a little bit of a reminder. Oh, okay, yes, this is what was lost for Sazed, something like that. And then it's like, yeah, okay, I need to go forth and do something about this. The initial reading, when I first read it, because I didn't focus on the Tyndall thing, I read it like, okay, fine, I'll do something to fix it. That's how it came off to me initially. But yeah, this thing is now he's like gathering himself and he'll go and do something. And it's very hopeful that he's like, I'll do something to fix it. He doesn't say, I'll do something to help. He says he'll fix it, because that's what he does, you know?
Yeah, that last little segment is, there's sort of a cold distance from it all, which carries with it some degree of confidence,
Mm.
which is good. Again, we're a little concerned about possibly big-headedness, but yeah, I'm happy with Elend at the end of this scene more so than I am at the beginning. And to be clear,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the character. I'm not talking about Sanderson's writing.
No, we're talking about the character.
Yeah, I think Sanderson executed well what it is that he's going for in this scene, which is, I think, us being uncertain about him.
Yes, that's the whole reason we're having this conversation, is because of how well it's written.
Yeah. All right, Alan said, pointing to a map of the Empire hanging on the wall of the conference tent. We timed the arrival and disappearance of the mists each day, then Norden and his scribes analyzed them. They've given us these perimeters as a guide. And then I'm reminded, I had intended to say this, like write it in my notes or something. I loved this chapter, particularly this planning scene.
Mm-hmm.
I think this might be top tier Sanderson in a way, because I remember way back when we started Mistborn Abridged, and I was talking about how much I loved that scene with Kelsier where they're all planning how to do the heist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how well it was written, how interesting it was, the planning and all. I think, like, we've sort of come full circle in a way. This is Elend running that similar meeting.
Yeah. No, that's definitely the comparison we need to make, the connection we need to make. He wants us to do that, I think.
Yeah. The group leaned in, studying the map. Vin sat at the rear of the tent, as was still her preference, closer to the shadows, closer to the exit. She'd grown more confident, true, but that didn't make her careless. She liked to be able to keep an eye on everyone in the room, even if she trusted them. See, and even that right there is calling back to that first Kelsier planning scene.
Yeah. That was such a good scene.
Yeah.
Also, Vin is a cat.
Yes. Even if she trusted them. And she did. Except maybe Set. The obstinate man sat at the front of the group, his quiet teenage son at his side as always. Set, or King Set, one of the monarchs who had sworn allegiance to Elend, had an unfashionable beard, a more unfashionable mouth, and 2 legs that didn't work. That hadn't kept him from nearly conquering Luthadel over a year before. But Elend has a beard now, doesn't he? So it can't be that unfashionable.
Nah, the way you style a beard. Just by having a beard doesn't mean it's the same thing. You can have all different kinds of beards.
Fair. Hail, Set said. You expect us to be able to read that thing? Elend tapped the map with his finger. It was a rough sketch of the Empire, similar to the one they'd found in the cavern, but more up to date. It had several large concentric circles inscribed on it. The outermost circle is the place where the mists have completely taken the land and no longer leave at all during the daylight. Elend moved his finger inward to another circle. This circle passes through the town we just visited when we found the cache. This marks 4 hours of daylight. Everything inside the circle gets more than 4 hours. Everything outside it gets less.
Oh.
And the final circle? Breeze asked. He sat with Alrion as far away from Set as the tent would allow. Set still had a habit of throwing things at Breeze, insults for the most part, and occasionally knives. So do you think it's literally knives, like throwing knives type situation, or kitchen knife to make a point that they don't like each other?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's kitchen knife, because if it was a real knife, that would be quite a problem. Maybe once, in the beginning, there had been a knife, and then, hey, at least you got alamancers. That's, yeah.
Fair. And cute.
Yeah.
Breeze and Alrion together, sitting far away from him. It's cute.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he's still trying to get used to it, or he just doesn't like Breeze. That's okay.
Elend eyed the map. Assuming the mists keep creeping toward Luthadel at the same rate, that circle represents the area that the scribes feel will get enough sunlight this summer to support crops. The room fell silent.
Hope is for the foolish.
Reen's voice seemed to whisper in the back of Vin's mind. She shook her head. Her brother, Reen, had trained her in the ways of the streets and the underground, teaching her to be mistrustful and paranoid. In doing so, He'd also taught her to survive. It had taken Kelsier to show her that it was possible to both trust and survive, and it had been a hard lesson. Even so, she still often heard Reen's phantom voice in her head. More a memory than anything else, whispering her insecurities, bringing up the brutal things he had taught her.
It did make me think of, I'm like, oh my gosh, imagine if Ruin starts talking to her, because Ruin was talking to, to Zane? So, yeah. How does that work?
Yeah. I hope she's immune to Ruin, because she
Yeah,
dipped in
but
the well.
yeah, that's true.
Ooh, do you think maybe she's immune because she gave up the power and therefore will be able to defeat Ruin in some way because of it?
Yeah,
I don't think
maybe.
there's anything to
She's been
support it.
inoculated. Come on. Yeah, you don't want to, you don't think she's gonna defeat Ruin. You think it's Sazed, so it's fine.
Very much so. I mean, it'll be all of them, but it'll be Sazed.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fairly small circle, Al, Ham said, still studying the map. The large-muscled man sat with General Demio between Set and Breeze. Sazed sat quietly to the side, then glanced at him, trying to judge if their previous conversation had lifted his depression any, but she couldn't tell. Aw, she cares so much about him.
Yeah, I would also be looking at him like, for any signs of life.
I would be looking at him, but I'd be very squinty-eyed and pursed lips about it, so he'd know I'm staring at him. He'd be like, what? And then he'd be uncomfortable, and then I'd look and squint even harder, and then he would just walk away, confused, thinking I'm weird. I don't know what that tangent was.
It was you inserted yourself into the scene.
A very Syl thing to do, I think. In a way.
Yeah.
They were a small group, only 9 counting Set's son, Njornden, but it included pretty much all that was left of Kelsier's crew except for Spook, who was doing reconnaissance in the north. Everyone was focused on the map. The final circle was indeed very small, not even as large as the Central Dominance, with its imperial capital of Luthadel. Over 90% of the Empire wouldn't be able to support crops this summer. Spook is not here. It's not fair. It's not right.
Yeah. Well, I'm worried about him doing reconnaissance. Like, I know he's good at it and stuff, but is he okay?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope he doesn't become king of the new Ska City, demanding respect that he should have had from the start.
Yeah, it might be. Seriously, that might be a thing. Yeah, he becomes radicalized. Yeah.
Oh no. And this small bubble will be gone by next winter, Ellen said. Finn watched the others contemplate and realize, if they hadn't already, the horror of what was upon them.
It's like Elendi's logbook said. They couldn't fight the deepness with armies. It destroyed cities, bringing a slow, terrible death. They were helpless.
The deepness. That was what they'd called the mists. Or at least that was what the surviving records called them. Perhaps the thing they fought, the primal force Vin had released, was behind the obfuscation. Yes, okay, this is totally setting up that the deepness and Ruin are different things, yeah?
Yeah, but Ruin is using the deepness, or using ignorance of the deepness, to his advantage.
Yes, or one created the other, or something to that effect. All right, people, Ellen said, folding his arms. We need options. Kelsier recruited you because you could do the impossible. Well, our predicament is pretty impossible. Yeah, but they're batting like 2 for 2 right now. Eventually that luck's gonna run out.
Yeah.
He didn't recruit me, Set pointed out. I got pulled by my balls into this little fiasco.
That startled me. I was like, whoa. Sanderson mentioned balls? I was like, whoa.
I like Set. I like the way he speaks. Although I like Ellen's retort about it later on. We'll get to that. I wish I cared enough to apologize, Ellen said, staring at them. Come on, I know you have thoughts. Well, my dear man, Breeze said, the most obvious option appears to be the Well of Ascension. It seems the power there was built to fight the mists. Or to free the thing hiding in them. So it's good that Set believes.
Yeah.
I mean, they all seem to believe except for Sazed. So,
Yeah.
good.
Which is ridiculous. Says it really? Come on. Nah, it's just weather patterns, mate. Oh, God. That doesn't matter.
Vin said, causing heads to turn.
There's no power at the well. It's gone. Used up. If it ever returns, it will be in another 1,000 years, I suspect.
Yeah, that's what I suspected too.
Okay, so she gave it up, but it wasn't given to Ruin, right? Because Ruin couldn't touch it.
No, I think it broke
Yeah.
whatever sealed it away,
Seal.
the lock.
Yeah. But yeah, it was given up and basically like dissipated wherever it went. But yeah, it wasn't given to Ruin because if Ruin was in control, why make this slow burn of a change to the world? Why not just make everything go all over the place?
Yeah. That's a little long to stretch the supplies in those storage caches, Ellen said. What if we grew plants that need very little light? Ham asked. As always, the thug wore simple trousers and a vest. The pewter he burned made him resistant to heat and cold, so he'd cheerfully walk around sleeveless on a day that would send most men running for shelter. Well, maybe not cheerfully. Ham hadn't changed overnight, as Sazed had, but he had lost some of his joviality. He tended to sit around a lot with a look of consternation on his face, as if considering things very, very carefully, and not much liking the answers he came up with. I read that and I'm like, is he becoming Clubs?
Yeah, he will be. Yeah, it was in some way, but yeah, Clubs also made jokes as well, but they were like wry jokes. Yeah, he's on his way. Give it like a couple decades, and then he'll get there.
Poor Ham.
But yeah, he has declined in the joviality, which is understandable. I wonder where his family is. Is his family with them?
They're probably back. I would imagine so.
Oh, back where? Like they're in Luthadel.
In Luthadel.
Mm.
I assume they have returned.
Yeah, you wouldn't want them. Yeah, you wouldn't want them coming around with an army. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are plants that don't need light?
Alriana asked, cocking her head. Mushrooms and the like, Ham said. That's a great option. Where was the Lord Ruler getting on this?
Yeah, that's it. He changed plants themselves, though.
Yeah.
For his one, but
mushrooms have protein.
Do they? Okay.
Pretty sure they do.
They're very good for you. The good ones. I think they help with vitamin D as well. Yeah. Which is strange. That just makes me think of Clarkson's Farm. Go and watch Clarkson's Farm if you want to see mushrooms.
Good idea, Ham. I say. Ellen's about to shit on it. I doubt we could feed an entire empire on mushrooms, Ellen said. Though it's a good thought. Okay, look, was I hard on Ellen? Yes. Unnecessarily so, because he clearly just said it was a good thought. Clearly I was unreasonable here. Sorry, Ellen.
He didn't shit on it. He just said, he farted on it.
I doubt we could feed an entire empire on mushrooms, Ellen said, though it's a good thought. There have to be other plants, too. Even if the mists come all day, there will be some light that gets through. Some plants have to be able to live on that. Have you tried building a skyscraper tall enough to out-height the mists? Serious question.
And what happens what happens to the buildings so the mists don't go inside. Yeah, mists don't go inside the building. So if you did I'm serious, you're right. Like a skyscraper, it wouldn't have to be a skyscraper to go high enough. Yeah. Sky gardens, boys, and greenhouses.
That would be a pretty cool world. A world where like the earth itself is toxic. So the inhabitants have to build tall buildings above the toxicity to grow their plants.
Yeah. It's Sky World, like because the whole thing is, we're going to land up living underwater. It's like, no. Actually, they land up living in the sky.
I like it.
No, I think actually there's a movie like that. I must look for it for you. It was actually nice. But yeah, then it turned out the ground was no longer toxic, that sort of story. Where it's like, there was a big lie. But yeah, they live in this really high, like in the atmosphere house, and the ground is toxic. Great premise.
Nice. Most likely plants that we can't eat, my dear man, Breeze pointed out. Yes, but maybe animals can, Ham said. Elend nodded thoughtfully. Blasted little time left for horticulture, Set noted. We should have been working on this sort of thing years ago. Yeah, Lord Ruler, come on. Uncool.
Well, Lord Ruler was like,
Stupid
no,
Lord Ruler.
Lord Ruler was working on it with his caches and things.
Indeed. We didn't know most of this until a few months ago, Ham said. True, Elend said, but the Lord Ruler had 1,000 years to prepare. That's why he made the storage caverns, and we still don't know what the last one contains. I don't like relying on the Lord Ruler, Elend, Breeze said, shaking his head. He must have prepared those caches knowing that he'd be dead if anyone ever had to use them. Set nodded.
Yes, we know this.
Yeah. Clearly. Why else would he have written notes to whomever
yeah, exactly.
got in?
Yeah, ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna forget. Oops, I must write it to myself. Dear self. Yeah, no.
Set nodded. The idiot soother has a point. If I were the Lord Ruler, I'd have stuffed those caches with poisoned food and pissed in water. If I had to die, then everyone else ought to as well.
Stupid Set. No, but it's funny, but stupid Set. Like, okay, that's a lot of effort to put into making sure everybody dies. Why don't you just,
True.
I don't know, die? And the fact is, you don't prepare for anything. Everyone dies anyway. Hello?
Also true.
Yeah, like that's a lot of effort just to get the same result. He's just wanted to say the word pissed in. That's all.
Probably. Fortunately, Elend said, raising an eyebrow, the Lord Ruler has proven more altruistic than we might have expected. Not something I ever thought I'd hear, Ham noted. Yeah, I don't like this. The Lord Ruler was good idea that Elend has.
I don't think it's that bad yet. He's really just being pragmatic. He's saying, listen, yeah, okay, we we thought he was all evil all the time, absolute, but hey, he did make provision for the human race.
Yes.
So we can at least be happy about that. That doesn't mean that we like him. It means this has benefited us. We don't have to be so absolute that we cut our nose off to spite our face.
Yes, but also Elend needs to keep in mind that he's in a room with the people who felt so strongly about the Lord Ruler, their god, that they overthrew and killed him, even though he was immortal. So
this is true.
Like he's got to be able to phrase the idea slightly better than he was altruistic.
I think there is plausible deniability here with the way he does phrase it, because it turns out he's more altruistic than we thought. We thought he was absolute, but I think maybe another way would be, oh well, it seems the Lord Ruler obviously thought some people deserve to live, or something like that.
Or maybe phrase it like, clearly the Lord Ruler knew something that we didn't, or is playing some sort of game that we don't understand. There was more to him than we understood.
That might be taken the worst way, but
you think that would be taken the worst way?
Yeah, there's more
worse
to him.
Worse than calling him altruistic?
No, I think going more, not worse, but it would be the same criticism. I think that there's more to him, guys. It'll make him understandable.
More to the situation, though.
Yeah, rather say that then.
Oh yeah, totally forgot. Hey guys, we're about to start recording our Way of Kings episode, but I wrote a note to myself, but I have to have this conversation. One of the notes I wrote to myself was, Kelsier would never take Elend's POV on the Lord Ruler. Therefore, if Kelsier lives, Ruin wins. And what I mean by that is, in reference to Elend considering the Lord Ruler sort of altruistic and there being some good in him, even if I think he's being overly optimistic, he is going to act in a way that is different than Kelsier would when receiving the information within the metal sheets, which I think will lead to defeating Ruin in some way. But Kelsier, I think, would be very much, no, you cannot trust a single thing. Therefore, I don't think Kelsier would be able to beat Ruin. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a good speculation. But, you know, you could think of maybe Vin trying to convince him because she believes and that sort of thing. That might have been a factor that would make him act in this way that you're talking about later on. But yeah, I understand. The difference between Kelsier and Elend would probably... I can see what you mean. It makes sense.
Cool. Okay, back to Way of Kings. He was emperor, Elend said. We may not have liked his rule, but I can understand him somewhat. He wasn't spiteful, nor was he evil exactly. He simply got carried away. Besides, he resisted this thing that we're fighting. See, now, like, all of the criticisms I just said, doubly so after this.
Yeah,
sentence.
well, he wasn't evil exactly. He just got carried away. Like, I understand he did get carried away and became evil or something like that. He was spiteful. Like he had something wrong, so I don't know. He wasn't even evil. No, he was evil.
He was. Yeah.
Like he had, yes. So you're saying yes, altruistic, in that he wanted something to survive. Yes, I don't think he left that food for the scar. Why? Like,
I agree.
if anyone is, if he were to choose who to survive, it would be the nobleman. And yeah, okay, maybe if he did want some scar to survive, it would be so that they could serve, that continue to serve. It's not about he's had all the power in the world, and he chose to use it in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, extra doubt, and that line there does make me go, oh, Elend, if you can use that reasoning for him, you're going to try and use it for yourself.
Yeah.
So I do worry if that's like foreshadowing for us.
Yeah. This thing? Set asked. The mists? No, Elend said. The thing that was trapped in the Well of Ascension.
It is called Ruin.
Vin thought.
It will destroy everything.
This is why I've decided we need to secure the last cache, Elend said. The Lord Ruler lived through this once. He knew how to prepare. Perhaps we'll find plants that can grow without sunlight. Each of the caches so far has had repeats, food stores, water, but each one has held something new as well. In Vetitan, we found large stores of the first 8 elementic metals. The thing in that last cache might be what we need in order to survive. That's it then, Set said, smiling broadly through his beard. We are marching on Fadrex, aren't we? Excited Set. We all knew he'd be all about it.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, there's the mention of the elementic metals, those big, large stores. So, okay, yeah, don't lose them.
Yep. Elend nodded curtly. Yes, the main force of the army will march for the western dominance once we break camp here. Ha! Penrod and Yanal can suck on that for a few days. Vin smiled faintly. Penrod and Yanarl were the 2 other most important kings under Elend's imperial rule. Penrod governed Luthadel, which was why he wasn't with them currently, and Yanarl ruled the Northern Dominance, the kingdom that included House Venture's hereditary lands. The largest city in the north, however, had been seized in a revolt while Yanarl, with Elend's father, Straff Venture, had been away laying siege to Luthadel. So far, Elend hadn't been able to spare the troops necessary to retake Urtio from its dissidents, so Yanarl ruled in exile. His smaller force of troops used to maintain order in the cities he did control. Cool, interesting. Again, it's sort of weird how everyone from all of these kingdoms are coalescing in one place, but being controlled by different leaders. That's gonna get a little cramped, I think, at some point.
It's messy. It's really messy. And it's like, we don't have time for this stuff, guys. We really don't. We don't have to, oh, let's fight over this land that's not even going to produce food. We're all going to die. We can't.
Yep. Both Yunarl and Penrod had made a habit of finding reasons to keep the main army from marching on Set's homeland. Those bastards won't be at all happy when they hear about this, Set said. Elend shook his head. Does everything you say have to contain one vulgarity or another? Set shrugged. What's the point of speaking if you can't say something interesting? Swearing isn't interesting, Elend said. Best line in any Sanderson book right there. Very true.
My dad basically says that. It's such a dad line.
Yeah, but also...
It adds nothing to what you're saying. I disagree.
But there are so many, like, Hollywood movies out there that feel like adding in swearing makes it more substantive and more...
Yes.
And better. And it's like, no, not really. You've got to earn the swearing.
Yes, exactly. It like earning it. You're not just saying it for the sake of it. It is expressing how angry or sad or whatever you are once you let that out. It should be a line that you cross when you're angry. Yeah.
Yep.
Or emotional.
That's your own damned opinion, Set said, smiling. And you really shouldn't be complaining, Emperor. If you think the things I say are vulgar, you've been living in Luthadel far too long. Where I come from, people are embarrassed to use pretty words like damn. Ellen sighed. Anyway, He was cut off as the ground began to shake. Vin was on her feet in seconds, looking for danger as the others cursed and reached for stability. She threw open the tent flap, peering through the mists, yet the shaking subsided quickly, and it caused very little chaos in the camp. All things considered, patrols moved about, checking for problems. Officers and Alamancers under Ellen's command, most of the soldiers simply remained in their tents. So this is our first earthquake.
Mm-hmm. That we see, yeah.
Correct. Yeah. But apparently it's becoming an issue.
Yeah, like, do we need this? Like, it's bad enough.
Pretty sure Ruin's gonna destroy the world.
Mm.
He's not just here to kill everything. He's here to destroy everything.
To ruin everything.
Ooh. Vin turned back toward the tent's interior. Some of the travel furniture had fallen over, but that was the only disturbance. The others slowly returned to their seats. Sure have been a lot of those lately, Ham said. Vin met Ellen's eyes and could see concern in them.
We can fight armies, we can capture cities, but what of ash, mists, and earthquakes? What about the world falling apart around us?
Anyway, Ellen said, voice firm despite the concerns Vin knew he must feel. Thadrix has to be our next goal. We can't risk missing the cache and the things it might contain. I'm still floored from your prediction, Kitty, that when they get there it'll be empty. Because an obligator took control of the city, and it's possible an obligator knew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like, I don't know, that would be too convenient. I mean, we have earthquakes now. We don't need this, but okay.
Yep.
Maybe they'll at least figure out what we will get, even if it is empty, is we figure out what was there and what the answer is. So we still get something. We get the next quest, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Atium.
Reen whispered in Vin's head as she reclaimed her seat.
Atium.
She said out loud. Set perked up. You think it'll be there? Yeah, I would have kept that secret, Vin, personally, but, I mean, I guess it's extra motivation.
Yeah, and I think people might be thinking that anyway.
Yeah. Although I did wonder if the Lord Ruler wasn't using the Atium, I wonder if he was sending it to the Khandra for whatever reason.
Why do Khandra value Atium at all?
Yeah, I wonder if it has to do with the failsafe, or with making new Khandra, maybe?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
There are theories, Ellen said, eyeing Vin, but we have no proof.
The eyeing Vin bit is like, hey, shut up. Like, that was a choice. Like, the way he eyes Vin is like, that was a choice. And we'll talk about that later. It will be there.
She said.
It has to be. I don't know why, but we have to have it. That was a thought.
Yeah. I hope it isn't. I marched halfway across the blasted empire to steal that atium if it turns out I left it beneath my own city. Missed a perfectly good opportunity, Sanderson, to let him swear again and say, my own damn city.
Yeah, exactly. That would be. Why not? But also he says, oh, people around him don't even use damn. But own damn city, so much better.
I think we're missing something important, Hal, Ham said.
Wait a second.
You What?
Is that said respecting Ellen and by not swearing?
Maybe. I doubt it. I think we're missing something important, Al, Ham said. Are you talking about conquering Fadrex City? The room fell still. Up until this point, Ellen's armies had been used defensively, attacking Kolos garrisons or the camps of small warlords and bandits. They had bullied a few cities into joining with him, but they had never actually assaulted a city and taken it by force. Oh, how the turntables have turned.
Ellen has turned into a warlord.
Yeah. Ellen turned, looking toward the map again. From the side, Vin could see his eyes, the eyes of a man hardened by a year and a half of near-perpetual war.
Oh, mine says 2 years.
Wow.
Again with the weird time.
We know this. Yeah. At least it's consistently different.
Yes, exactly.
Our primary goal will be to take the city by diplomacy, Ellen said. Diplomacy? Fadrex is mine, Set said. That damn obligator stole it from me. There's no need to worry your conscience about attacking him, Ellen. No need? Ellen asked, turning. Set, those are your people, your soldiers we'd have to kill to get into that city. People die in war. Feeling bad about it doesn't remove the blood from your hands, so why bother? Those soldiers turned against me. They deserve what they'll get.
Harsh on Set. Like, I mean, I'm not surprised, but yeah, Set, that's cruel. Like, you don't know what they were, why they turned on you, and all of that. And also, yeah, mass murdering absolutely everyone. Okay. I guess it would help if we have less mouths to feed, but that's not the kind of people we are.
Kitty. Wow. It's not that simple, Ham said. If there was no way for the soldiers to fight this usurper, then why expect them to give up their lives? Especially for a man who was himself a usurper, Ellen said.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it is a good point. Set should have made more friends along the way. Would have helped.
Yeah.
In any case, reports describe that city as being very well defended. It'll be a tough stone to break, Al. This is totally why I agree with you that they'll have found the cache of supplies, because the plan is to starve them out. And the first plan in a book is never ever gonna work. So they're gonna get there, they're gonna set up to siege, and they're gonna be like, why aren't they starving? And they're gonna send someone in and realize that the cache has been opened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ellen stood quietly for a moment, then eyed Set, who still looked inordinately pleased with himself. The two appeared to share something, an understanding. Ellen was a master of theory and had probably read as much on war as anyone. Set seemed to have a sixth sense for warfare and tactics and had replaced clubs as the Empire's prime military strategist. It's quite a promotion there. Congrats,
Sheesh, yeah.
Set.
Yeah, and I suppose having the cruelest guy at the top there helps in times of war.
Yeah. Siege, Set said. Ellen nodded. If King Yeoman won't respond to diplomacy, then the only way we'll get in that city, short of killing half our men breaking in, is by besieging it and making him desperate. Do you have time for that? Ham asked, frowning. Other than Urtio, Ellen said, Fadrex City and the surrounding areas are the sole major section of the inner dominances that maintains a strong enough force to be threatening. That plus the cash means we can't afford to leave them alone. Time is on our side, NOAY, Set said, scratching his beard. You don't just attack a city like Fadrix, Ham. It has fortifications, one of the few cities apart from Luthadel that could repel an army, but since it's outside the central dominance, it's probably already hurting for food. So the fact that it has such strong defenses tells me that it is a very important cache, all the more devastating that it will be empty.
Yes, true.
Elend nodded. While we have all of the supplies we found in the storage caches, if we block off the highway, then hold the canal, they'll have to surrender the city eventually. Even if they've found the cache, which I doubt, we will be able to outlast them.
Okay,
sure,
so he
but
is
can
saying
you afford
even
the
if,
time?
Yeah, even so, he does say even so. He has that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it will take a longer time. You're right. Like, do we have time for that? Well, I don't think time is on our side, Seth. You just said that and you didn't explain why. You're just like, no, time's on our side. Okay.
Ham frowned. I guess. Besides, Elend added, if things get tough, we do have about 20,000 kolos we can draw upon. Ham raised an eyebrow, though said nothing. The implication was clear.
You turn kolos against other people?
There is another element to this, Sazed said softly. Something we has as of yet not discussed. Several people turned, as if they'd forgotten he was there. The mists, Sazed said. Fadrix City lies well beyond the mist perimeter, Emperor Wencher. Will you subject your army to more than 15% casualties before you arrive at the city? Excellent question. How dare you, Elend, force upon those Ska the choice when you yourself have not forced it upon your own soldiers? But also, Sazed, why not just lead with the Kolos, Elend? Instead of doing this.
Yes. So it's like you don't want to use the Kolos because that's crazy and cruel, but it's like, okay, Kolos going out in the mists versus humans going out in the mist. There's so many moral ways to look at this. Yeah, you're damned no matter what you're doing, actually. You're doing something bad. And yeah, I also understand the point of keeping the soldiers alive, but yeah, that's still pretty it's pretty harsh. It's difficult to swallow.
Yeah, it severely weakens your forces in the world.
Well, yeah, it severely weakens your support when you're like, oh, my army stays safe, but my villagers, I take the villagers out into the mists. So I understand the idea of keeping the soldiers safe initially, but yeah, now it's you can't do that forever because you will get rebellion because it's immoral. Yeah.
And it will look shitty if he offers his soldiers the opportunity, but he didn't offer it to anyone else. But again, you could just go with the Kolos army, if you can spare them. Elend fell silent. So far, he'd managed to keep most of his soldiers out of the mists. It seemed wrong to Vin that their army had been protected from the sickness while the townsfolk had been forced to go out in the mists. Good Vin being concerned about Elend. I'm concerned about Elend.
Yep, he's just doing what's necessary, and then what? Then you get carried away.
Yet where they camped, there was still a significant amount of mistless daylight, and they also had enough tents to hold all the soldiers, something they'd lacked when moving the townsfolk. Mists rarely went into structures, even cloth ones. There had been no reason to risk killing some of the soldiers, since they'd been able to avoid it. It seemed hypocritical to Vin, but so far it still made sense. Elend met Sazed's eyes. You make a good point. We can't protect the soldiers from this forever. I forced the people of Vedetan to immunize themselves. I suspect that I will have to make the army do the same, for the same reasons. So he is talking about forcing that upon them.
Yeah. But then you don't have to continue worrying, I suppose.
That's true. Just get it over and done with if you have to.
And you say, you see, I have not treated the army differently to the civilian.
Yeah. Vin sat back quietly. She often wished for the days when she'd had nothing to do with such decisions, or better yet, when Elend hadn't been forced to make them. We march for Fadrix, Elend said again, turning from the group. He pointed at the map. If we're going to pull through this, and by we, I mean all the people of the new empire, We're going to need to band together and concentrate our populations near the central dominance. Because it's the one place that can grow food this summer, we'll need every bit of manpower we can muster to clear ash and prepare the fields. That means bringing the people of Fadrix under our protection. It also means, he said, pointing toward the northeastern section of the map, that we'll need to suppress the rebellions in Urtio. Not only does the city there contain a storage cache, with grain we desperately need for a second planting down in the central dominance, but the city's new rulers are gathering strength in an army. Urtio is well within staging distance of Luthadel, as we discovered when my father marched on us. I will not have a repeat of that event. So now he's looking at splitting his forces. Dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Dangerous, but yeah, again, we got Kolos.
Risky.
So, yeah.
Yeah, use them. Use them if you got them. We don't have enough troops to march on both fronts at once, Al, Ham said. Elend nodded. I know. In fact, I'd rather avoid marching on Urtio. That was my father's seat. The people there had good reason to rebel against him. Demio, report? Demio stood. We had a steel-inscribed message from Spook while your majesty was away, he said. The lad says that the faction controlling Urtio is made up of Scar rebels. That sounds promising, Breeze noted. Our kind of people. They are quite harsh, this nobleman, Lord Breeze, Demio said. And they include anyone with noble parents in that group. A little extreme, I'd think, Ham said. Not so different than Kelsier, though.
Yeah. But yeah, the parent... Yeah, early Kelsier. And yeah, so that would include Vin. Because she clearly has a noble father.
Yes, but they don't know that for certain, maybe?
But wouldn't it be that if you're an Allomancer, you've got some sort of noble lineage, therefore?
Yes, but do the Ska know that? They might.
Yeah.
But how many of them are Church of Survivor folk? They might be very religious zealots, considering how Kelsier-like they sound. Early Kelsier, I mean.
Yeah, because we have had that discussion of they're already twisting the religion. Yeah.
A lot of people thought Kelsier was extreme too, Breeze said. I'm certain we can talk reason into these rebels.
Oof. I'm thinking maybe this is a thing of Breeze being too cheerful and too hopeful, like overcompensating.
Very much. Unironically, I'm expecting both of these ventures to go very poorly for Elend. They're going to suffer some big losses on both fronts, I think. Good, Elend said, because I'm counting on you and Sazed to bring Urtio under our control without the use of force. There are only 5 of these caches, and we can't afford to lose one. Who knows what we'll eventually discover in Fadrix? It might require us to return to the other caches to find something we missed. He turned, looking at Breeze, then Sazed. We can't just sneak the food out of Urtio, he said. If the rebellion in that city spreads, it could cause the entire empire to fracture into splinters. We have to bring the men there to our side. The members of the room nodded, as did Vin. They knew from personal experience how much power a small rebellion could exert on an empire.
Haha, that's cute.
Yeah, nice little self-referential. And it's good wisdom. It is very good wisdom. The Fadrix siege could take some time, Elend said. Long before summer arrives, I want you to have secured that northern cache and subdued the rebellion. Send the seed stock down to the central dominance for planting. Nice. Good commanding Elend.
Yeah. I'm like, whew, okay, cool, it's a lot, but and this is the plan. That's it. We have to go from here. Like, that's what's worrying. I'm like, oh, we're splitting up. This is it, is what I felt from that.
Yeah. Don't worry, Breeze said. I've seen the kinds of governments Ska set up. By the time we get there, the city will probably be on the edge of collapse anyway. Why, they'll likely be relieved to get an offer to join the new empire.
Oh,
Way
gosh.
too overconfident.
That is, yeah, that's absolutely overcompensating, overconfident.
Yeah. Be wary, Elend said. Spook's reports have been sparse, but it sounds as if tensions in the city are acute. We'll send a few hundred soldiers with you as protection. He looked back at the map, eyes narrowing slightly. 5 caches, 5 cities. Urtio is part of all of this somehow. We can't afford to let it slip away. Your Majesty, Sazed said, is my presence required on that trip? Elend frowned, glancing at Sazed. You have something else you need to be doing, Sazed?
Sorry, it is. It's kind of like, excuse me, like, we're trying to save the world here. We're trying to save people here. And sorry, you're busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems a bit harsh.
It is, because we know what he's going through, but you can read on horseback, Sazed, damn it.
Yeah.
Save people while you can. If there is no afterlife and nothing happens of your spirit after you die, and that freaks you out, you need to fight that much harder to preserve life. Because it's the only one you got.
Yeah, you can't just be like, oh, well, I'm going to go to heaven. So yeah, just continue. And yeah, this got a bit frustrating. Sazed did get a bit frustrating to me, where it's like, no, you don't get to just run away. You don't get to crawl into a little hole and stay by yourself. No, everybody is working towards things, and you need to be part of it. You are valuable. You don't get to forget that.
Yep. I have research I would do, the keeper said. I respect your wishes as always, Elend said, if you think this research is important. It's of a personal nature, your majesty, Sazed said. Could you do it while helping in Urtio? Elend asked. You're a terraceman, which lends you a credibility none of us can claim. Beyond that, people respect and trust you, Sazed, with good reason. Breeze, on the other hand, has something of a reputation. I worked hard for it, you know, Breeze said. That was funny, good levity, needed.
Yeah.
I'd really prefer to have you lead that team, Sazed, Elend said. I can't think of a better ambassador than the Holy First Witness himself. Yeah, so if they are a bunch of zealots out there, then this could be good.
Or it could be really bad because they're a bunch of zealots and they're zealots in the other way, like in the wrong way. And zealots are crazy, okay?
Yeah, zealots gonna zeal. Zeal. Zealot's gonna zeal. Sazed's expression was unreadable. Very well, he finally said. I shall do my best. Good, Elend said, turning to regard the rest of the group. Then there's one last thing I need to ask of you all. And what is that? Set asked. Elend stood for a few moments looking over their heads, appearing thoughtful. I want you to tell me about the survivor. He was Lord of the Mists, Demio said immediately. I read that and I'm like, whoa, dude, calm down. Like, we know that. Like,
and so, like, relax. Speaking of zealots.
Not the rhetoric, Elend said. Someone tell me about the man, Kelsier. I never met him, you know. I saw him once, right before he died, but I never knew him. What's the point? Set asked. We've all heard the stories. He's practically a god if you listen to the ska. Please, Elend said. The tent was still for a few moments before Ham spoke. Kel was grand. He wasn't just a man. He was bigger than that. Everything he did was large. His dreams, the way he talked, the way he thought. And it wasn't false, Breeze added. I can tell when a man is being fake. That's why I started my first job with Kelsier, in fact. Amid all the pretenders and posturers, he was genuine. Everyone wanted to be the best. Kelsier really was.
He was a man. Just a man. Yet you always knew he'd succeed. He'd made you be what he wanted you to be.
So he could use you, Breeze said. But you were better when he was done with you, Ham added. Finally, we get some good Kelsier non-slander.
Yes.
Very touching as well. And again, it's all about how this chapter mirrors that one in the first.
Yes. Echoes it. Oof. Shivers.
Echoes, yeah. Elend nodded slowly. I wish I could have known him. Early in my career, I always compared myself to him. By the time I heard of Kelsier, he was already becoming a legend. It was unfair to force myself to try to be him, but I worried regardless. Anyway, those of you who knew him, maybe you can answer another question for me. What do you think he'd say if he saw us now?
Yeah, at this point I was like, yes, this is a great way to do what needs doing. Like, we need to remember
Remind
Calcia.
them of
This is good.
hope. Yeah.
Yes. But without saying, Calcia wants us to do this, he's making them go to their own memories.
Yeah. Very, very smart move, Alan. Maybe the smartest thing you've done in any of the books. He'd be proud, Ham said immediately. I mean, we defeated the Lord Ruler and we built a Ska government. What if he saw us at this conference? Alan said. The tent fell still again. When someone spoke what they were all thinking, it came from a source Vin hadn't expected. He'd tell us to laugh more, Sazed whispered. I read that, and that's so sweet and accurate.
And
or maybe smile more, but...
Yeah, laugh more, but the I liked that Sazed said it, because it's like, just remember, you know that he is remembering it. Like, we don't have his POV, but when he says it, he's like, I think considering how he does sometimes scold himself, or he has self-awareness. The fact that he says he'd tell us to laugh more means that in his head there's some thought of, yeah, I'm really not living up to Calcia, who is real and right there. Sazed, you didn't have to have faith in him. He was right in front of you. Yeah, exactly. And he continued. Yeah, so all of that is hopefully what comes to mind.
Yeah. Breeze chuckled. He was completely insane, you know. The worse things got, the more he'd joke. I remember how chipper he was at the very first meeting after one of our worst defeats, when we lost most of our Ska army to that fool Yedden. Kel walked in, a spring in his step, making one of his inane jokes.
Sounds insensitive,
Alrion said. No, Ham said. He was merely determined. He always said that laughter was something the Lord Ruler couldn't take from him. He planned and executed the overthrow of a 1,000-year empire, and he did it as a kind of penance for letting his wife die thinking he hated her. But he did it all with a smirk on his lips, like every joke was his way of slapping fate in the face. Sazed better have heard that.
Yes, I'm like, look, you see, penance, blah, blah. And again, just remember, Calcia was in front of you. He didn't have to be, he's not a god or anything. He's your friend. He's a person. You can draw on your life if you're such an atheist.
Yeah, and if Mare died thinking Calcia hated her, Tindwyl knew that you loved her, and vice versa.
Yeah, keep that in mind.
We need what he had, Elend said. The room's eyes turned back toward him. We can't keep doing this. We bicker among ourselves. We mope about, watching the ash fall, convinced that we're doomed. Breeze chuckled. I don't know if you noticed the earthquake a few minutes ago, my dear man, but the world appears to be ending. That is an indisputably depressing event. We can survive this, Elend said, determination in his voice. But the only way that will happen is if our people don't give up. They need leaders who laugh, leaders who feel that this fight can be won. So this is what I ask of you. I don't care if you're an optimist or a pessimist. I don't care if secretly you think we'll all be dead before the month ends. On the outside, I want to see you smiling. Do it in defiance if you have to. If the end does come, I want this group to meet that end smiling, as the survivor taught us.
Yeah,
nice speech.
Do it, and that just, yeah, good speech. And it just made me remember just the first. We didn't know Calcia at that point, but you called him the Smiling Scar.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just making me thoughtful of Calcia, and yeah, this is what we need. And I again, more lines for Sazed there. Like, I don't care if you think we're going to be dead. Face it.
Yep. Slowly, the members of the former crew nodded, including Sazed, though his face seemed troubled. Set just shook his head. You people are all insane. How I ended up with you, I'll never know. Breeze laughed. Now that's a lie, Set. You know exactly how you ended up joining us. We threatened to kill you if you didn't. Elend was looking at Vin. She met his eyes and nodded once. It had been a good speech. She wasn't certain if his words would change anything. The crew could never again be the way it had been at the beginning, laughing freely around Clubs' table in the evening hours. But maybe if they kept Kelsier's smile in mind, they'd be less likely to forget exactly why it was they kept struggling on. "All right, people," Ellen finally said. "Let's start preparations. Breeze, Sazed, Ulrion, I'll need you to talk with the scribes about supply estimates for your trip. Ham, send word to Luthadel and tell Penrod to have our scholars work on culturing plants that can grow in very little sunlight. Demio, pass the word to the men. We march tomorrow." Good chapter.
You know what I'm thinking? Good chapter,
What?
but you know what I'm thinking? We got a few bits of Vin's inner monologue.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to Kelsia and all of this stuff, she was very much in the moment looking at everybody else, not really processing it herself. So there was a little bit of her missing there. We have what she said. She's like, yeah, so she's focused on the effects of the speech on the others rather than is it working for her. So I felt like she was a little bit distant in the end there.
Interesting.
I'm worried about her, is essentially what I'm saying.
I am slightly less worried than you, but I see where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's it for me. Good chapter.
Yes, and now we get 13 as a short blind.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, I'm scared.
And that is the end of the first part, actually.
Ooh. Yep. Okay, so we know that this is gonna be a chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Hemalurgy is so named because of the connection to blood. It is no coincidence, I believe, that death is always involved in the transfer of powers via hemalurgy. Marsh once described it as a messy process. Not the adjective I would have chosen. It's not disturbing enough. Ooh. Has he used the word messy? Did he use messy during the Conventicle of Saren trip? Because if not, that means that Marsh is going to be interacting with our main cast of characters again at some point.
Yeah, I think he didn't speak about hemalurgy at all.
No.
Before. He never used the word hemalurgy. So this for me is absolute that he is going to at some point be conscious enough to have said that.
Yeah. Cool. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. So it's not now, but it's yeah. And also just keep in mind the transfer of powers. So it's you need powers from one person. I don't know that does grammatically it means the one person had the powers, they're transferred into another person's body.
Mm-hmm.
So
if I'm
powers?
an Allomancer and you're not, and someone kills me with a metal spike through you, you get my power. Don't do that to me, Kitty, please.
Yeah, wait, wouldn't you have to be the one that dies?
Yes, I just said that. I think I said that.
I thought you said that I would have to die.
No, you would have to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
Or something to that effect.
Well, considering how gruesome it is, it seems like both people die.
One would think.
Yeah.
Anyway. I'm missing something, Marsh thought. Oh no, it's a Marsh chapter. I'm scared. He sat in the Kolos camp, just sitting. He hadn't moved in hours. Ash dusted him like a statue. Ruin's attention had been focused elsewhere lately, and Marsh had been left with more and more time to himself. I have to wonder, Is it focused on the good plans that the crew are making? Is Ruin nervous? Or is he looking for whatever object it is he's looking for?
Yeah. But the eye of Sauron is not on him, so...
He still didn't struggle. Struggle only brought Ruin's attention. See, but, okay, hear me out. If you know that the crew is out there fighting Ruin, if I'm Marsh and all I have is the power of my own thoughts, I would draw Ruin's attention as much as I possibly could. 1, to distract Ruin from them. 2, what's the worst that can happen? He kills me and then I'm free of Ruin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just a thought.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Isn't that what I want? He thought. To be controlled.
But also, hold up.
What?
Whenever he does get Ruin's attention, he loses consciousness, he loses control. So he could do a lot of damage. anyway.
Ah, that's true. Isn't that what I want? He thought. To be controlled? When Ruin forced him to see things its way, the dying world seemed wonderful. That bliss was far superior to the dread he felt while sitting on the stump, slowly being buried in ash. No, that's not what I want. It was bliss, true, but it was false. As he had once struggled against Ruin, he now struggled against his own sense of inevitability. What am I missing? He thought again, distracting himself. The Kolos army, 300,000 strong. Ooh! 300,000 strong. Hadn't moved in weeks. Its members were slowly yet relentlessly killing each other. How many did Ellen say they had in the previous chapter? 20,000? 40,000?
20,000.
20,000. Wow.
But hey, they were killing each other.
Yeah, well, that's good. 300,000 strong. Hadn't moved in weeks. Its members were slowly yet relentlessly killing each other. It seemed a waste of resources to let the army stagnate. For now, the creatures were eating the dead plants beneath the ash. They can't possibly live on that for long, can they? Marsh didn't know much about the Kolos, despite spending the better part of a year with them. They appeared to be able to eat almost anything to survive, as if merely filling their stomachs were more important than actual nutrition. What was Ruin waiting for? Why not bring his army in and attack? I want to know why. Why not? Honestly, what are there rules? Can he not? I don't know. Marsh was familiar enough with Final Empire geography to recognize that he was stationed in the north near Terrace. Why not move down and strike Luthadel? The fact that he's in Terrace, again, highly suggests that he's looking for something from Terrace. Do you think he's looking for the pool? The Silver Lake?
I don't know.
Why not move down and strike Luthadel? There were no other Inquisitors in the camp. Ruin had called them to other tasks, leaving Marsh alone. Of all the Inquisitors, Marsh had been given the largest number of new spikes. Ooh, so he's extra powerful. Neat. He had 10 new ones planted at various places in his body. That ostensibly made him the most powerful of the Inquisitors. Why leave him behind? I mean, also, why make him that one? Why not choose one of the already evil noblemen who might be down to be Ruin's servant in exchange for power?
I don't know. Maybe there's something about Marsh that makes him he could tolerate there's also some sort of tolerance of how many sparks you could get in you as well. Others might have died, so the base strength the person has is important.
Right. And what are his new powers? Is he a ferrochemist now?
Yeah, well, he's a hemologist now.
There's no chance Marsh is the hero of ages, is he?
We've theorized.
We have theorized. It would be quite a thing. I would be annoyed if it were, to be honest. Not annoyed. I'd be annoyed that it wasn't Sazed if it were Marsh. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I would genuinely be surprised if it was Marsh. Obviously, we have now suspected it as a possibility, but No, it can't be, because in the thing it said, in the epigraph it said Marsh once described it as. So no, it's not Marsh. Okay.
Well, why? Because what? Because she's supposed to die? Sorry, Marsh once described it as messy. That means he makes it out.
One would hope.
But I suppose he would only make it out if... Yeah, I think he's part of it. I think, again, it seems like everybody's going to have to come together in some sort of... Each person's actions will lead to, I suppose, the hero of ages that comes about succeeding. They wouldn't be able to do it by themselves.
Yeah. Why leave him behind? Yet, what does it matter? He wondered. The end has come. There is no way to beat Ruin. The world will end. He felt guilty for the thought. If he could have turned his eyes downward in shame, he would have. There had been a time when he'd run the entire Ska rebellion. Thousands had looked to him for leadership. And then, Kelsier had been captured, as had Mare, the woman both Kelsier and Marsh had loved. When Kelsier and Mare had been cast into the pits of Hathsin, Marsh had left the rebellion. His rationale had been simple. If the Lord Ruler could catch Kelsier, the most brilliant thief of his time, then he would catch Marsh eventually too. It hadn't been fear that had driven Marsh's retirement, but plain realism. Marsh had always been practical. Fighting had proven useless, so why do it? That's some good characterization. That's good stuff to know.
Yeah.
Sad, but good to know.
Mm.
And then Kelsier had returned and done what 1,000 years of rebellious Ska hadn't been able to do. He'd overthrown the Empire, facilitating the death of the Lord Ruler. That should have been me, Marsh thought. I served the rebellion all my life, then gave up just before they finally won. Poor Marsh.
Yeah, that
True.
is a true thing. It's true. It's a harsh truth, but it's like, yeah, you didn't want to continue. You said, oh well, it's not worth it,
faith.
or it's you did, and Kelsier didn't. So yeah, that's a tough thing pill to swallow, but it's the truth.
Except that Kelsier didn't lose faith. He didn't have it, and then he sort of gained it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, was it really the rebellion that did it, or was it a plucky group of thieves and Special Vin?
Everything has to come together for it to work.
Mm.
Everything had to happen the way it did.
Fair. Either way, poor Marsh.
Mm-hmm.
It was a tragedy, and it was made worse by the fact that Marsh was doing it again. He was giving up. Damn you, Kelsier, he thought with frustration. Can't you leave me be, even in death? Yet one harrowing, undeniable fact remained. Mare had been right. She had chosen Kelsier over Marsh, and then when both men had been forced to deal with her death, only one had given up. The other had made her dreams come true. Oh, great writing.
And that's so painful. But yeah, it's like, yeah, she was right. So this utterly defeated, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Marsh knew why Kelsier had decided to overthrow the final empire. It hadn't been for the money, the fame, or even, as most suspected, for revenge. Kelsier knew Mare's heart. He'd known that she dreamed of a day when plants flourished and the sky was not red. She'd always carried with her that little picture of a flower, a copy of a copy of a copy, a depiction of something that had been lost to the final empire long ago. But, Marsh thought bitterly, you didn't actually make her dreams a reality, Kelsier. You failed. You killed the Lord Ruler, but that didn't fix anything. It made things worse. Yeah, but he didn't know. How could any of them have known?
Yeah, exactly. But he's just, he's the silliness of negative thought. Oof.
Yeah. The ash continued to fall, blowing around Marsh in a lazy breeze. Kolos grunted, and in the near distance, one screamed as his companion killed him. Kelsier was dead now, but he had died for her dream. Mare had made the correct choice, but she was dead too. Marsh wasn't. Not yet. I can still fight, he told himself. But how? Moving a single finger would draw Ruin's attention, although during the last weeks he hadn't struggled at all. Perhaps that was why Ruin decided it could leave Marsh alone for so long. The creature, or the force, or whatever it was, wasn't omnipotent, but Marsh suspected it could move about freely, watching the world and seeing what was happening in various parts of it. No walls could block its view. It seemed to be able to watch anything, except a man's mind. He's figured it out, yay.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of. Perhaps if I stop struggling long enough, I'll be able to surprise it when I finally decide to strike. Yeah, so now you just have to wait for the right moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And think about what your struggle will be, but not too hard. It's a balancing act. And yeah, he's thinking of a way. I'm glad he's thinking of some time to decide to strike. Marsh ex machina. I'm happy.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen something like this before, though, somewhere. I'm sure it'll come to me. I'll have to either editor Dorkus it in, or think about it in the future. There is something familiar about this.
Same.
It seemed as good a plan as any, and Marsh knew exactly what he would do when the time came. He'd remove Ruin's most useful tool. He'd pull the spike from his back and unalive himself. Not out of frustration, and not out of despair. He knew that he had some important part to play in Ruin's plans. If he removed himself at the right time, it could give the others the chance they needed. It was all he could give, yet it seemed fitting, and his new confidence made him wish he could stand and face the world with pride. Kelsier had unalived himself to secure freedom for the Ska. Marsh would do the same, and in doing so, hope to help save the world from destruction. The end of part 1.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Okay, so we know Marsh is waiting in the wings. And I think the idea of him struggling not from frustration or despair actually will make a difference. So
I agree.
Will make it possible. That will be the difference that he needed all along.
Yep. Although, like I said earlier in this chapter, or the previous chapter, when does the first plan a character comes up with ever work out?
But this is the only one. So it seems it's the only plan. Like, that's it. He can't last longer than having a plan. But yeah, you're right. It could be in the moment. Remember Vin's plan to kill the gold or to kill the phantom or whatever didn't work, but then she made it. She improvised. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Very exciting chapter. Anything else to say, Kitty?
Excited for part 2.
Me too. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Subscribe to That Darn Kitty because she's got a great channel. And we'll see you next time.
Get it, bye.